Steve Prescott, hands up! For Steve Prescott, hands up! For Steve Prescott, hands up!
Yeah.
Welcome to Serious About Rugby League. Today on the agenda, discussion of the Easter schedule. Who will be the winners and losers? Okay, so Thursday, we've got Castleford versus Wakefield. What do you think, Sean?
I'm going to go for a neck on the line Wakefield win. I think Castleford have been playing well enough. I think they've been fortunate in areas to come up against people that maybe haven't been playing the best. And, I mean, not too long ago they lost to Leeds away, which I know is a difficult fixture for them because it's sort of a derby fixture now. But I still think the Leeds team is slightly below par, and I think that was shown the following week by OKR, and OKR went to Leeds and did a number on them. I think Castleford maybe should have done the same. Obviously they beat Wigan the following week, but again Wigan aren't up to par yet. So, but I think that Wakefield are being very dominant in this division. I think they've got the best forward in the division by a country mile in David Fifita, and I think they'll have him.
Any thoughts, Ben?
Well,
You agree?
I'm gonna have to disagree, unfortunately.
Ooh.
I think with home advantage, I think Castleford have got a great record against Wakefield, and they're slowly but surely getting players back. Castleford have had such. I know you can say this about a lot of teams, and often gets highlighted on social media. Oh, you're blaming your injuries. Everybody's got injuries. Everyone starts listing their injuries, but. And I just think it's the positions where Castleford have had their injuries where it's really affected them. Yeah. So I've got to say I fancy Castleford with home advantage in that one.
I think the thing is, Castleford, it is home advantage, and obviously that's important. And the Castleford fans, especially on days like this where it's against Wakefield at home, they'll turn up in numbers, they will be loud, they'll be vocal, and they'll get in people's faces. But the one thing you've got to remember about Castleford is it's a much shorter pitch. The 30 to 40, or 40 to halfway is obviously 10, but 30 to 40 is like 2 metres. And on a shorter pitch, you've got to back the team that are going to have the most goal forward. And I think in the forward pack that Wakefield have, you're not going to be able to slow Wakefield down enough to stop them having chances to put attacking kicks in. And with the likes of Danny Brough and Jacob Miller at the back, if they can get in the positions where they're going to put attacking kicks in, they're going to really struggle to stop Wakefield coming out and being able to hit them, even if they're starting to set on the wrong line.
Well, I think Wakefield are a shooting for the top 5. I just think going to Castleford's a very, very difficult game, no matter what team Cass have got out.
Well, we shall see. Going up next, we've got London versus Catalans. What do you think?
I'm going to go for the underdog. I'm going to go for London. It's like a theme of underdogs here. But I don't think Wakefield are underdog, but I think London definitely are. I think Catalans have proved that when they turn up, they're as good as anybody in this division, and that obviously is proven by wins against Warrington and St Helens. Different prospect having to go to London. Obviously Catalans are very much used to coming to England to play rugby, but coming to England to play on a 4G pitch, it's as unfamiliar as all the other teams having to travel down to London and play on a 4G pitch. It's a very difficult place to go and play rugby, and London have proved that at home they're going to cause a lot of teams a lot of problems. I mean, they've lost games by very, very few points, and they've won games, close games as well. I think Catalans have had a good run at the minute. They were very unfortunate not to get 2 points against Hull, but I feel like London, they'll go to London with an air of confidence, as most teams will, and I feel like London might just have that little edge on home field advantage.
Do you think it matters about the pitch so much?
Well, Catalans away from home have notoriously down the years have not been brilliant, have they?
Apart from they won the Challenge Cup last year.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. Well, you've blown me out of the water with that one. No, I think Catalans, just for the simple fact, it's on a 4G pitch, but London have found it difficult of late. They're still being competitive. I think this will be a close game, but I think Catalans have got the better players. I think after losing to Hull, especially in Golden Point, they want to bounce back, and they're very much an inconsistent team. Catalans are very hard to call. They're one of those, for those people that love a bet out there, I mean, I won't be sticking them on my accumulator because you don't know which team's going to turn up, but I think they'll have too much for London. So I'm going to have to disagree with you again. We should have a wager on this. The amount of games we're disagreeing on. Should be a forfeit.
Oh.
We'll bring you a forfeit next week. The loser will do a forfeit, or whenever you're next on.
Okay, let's go to Friday. We've got Hull FC versus Hull KR. Ben, what do you think? Who's it going to be?
Well, it's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. Obviously, first game of the season, Hull KR turned FC over, which were a surprise at the time. But I really like Hull KR actually. I think obviously they beat Leeds convincingly. And I really like the halves. We talked about it last week. Danny Maguire, Josh Drinkwater. Such a great half-back partnership. And they've actually got a really good side. Like a lot of underrated players of Hull KR. And with the likes of Mitch Garber, Jimmy Kainos been really good signings. But Hull, another one of those teams you wouldn't really want to stick on your accumulator. They've been rather inconsistent.
Yeah.
Obviously, you talked about Warrington and St Helens losing in Catalans. They've gone there with a lot of injuries, with hardly any forwards. They've thrown in like a few young players untested, and they've stepped up. And obviously the Golden Point win, Mark Sneed, the master of the Golden Point, he stepped up. I think this will be another close game, and yeah, I think with home advantage I'll go for Hull FC, but I actually wouldn't be surprised if this were another Golden Point. They've been involved in a couple already, Hull, this year, and I can see it happening again. But yeah, I'll go with Hull on home advantage there. Hull FC. That
Do
is.
you agree, Sean?
I agree in sense that Hull are on and off. I feel like if it does go to Golden Point, then you've got to put your money on Hull FC because Mark Sneed is incredible in those tight areas. I don't know. Obviously, the game at the start of the season, Jimmy Kainos won it in the last minute for Hull KR. So we're expecting a tight affair between these two. They'll want to get out at each other, and they're both playing good rugby in their own right. I feel like Hull KR have been the more consistent team, and on that basis, you've got to back them because I feel like they're more likely to turn up on the day. But as you said, home field advantage, Old Faithful is probably one of the best songs in rugby. I'm sorry.
Are you going to
I know
sing
you're
it to
gonna
us,
say-
Sean?
I will not sing it. But once the OFC fans get going and get loud, it's going to be hard for Hull KR to sort of drown that out and continue to work. But I do fancy Hull KR just to nick it. But it'll be a close game.
I'm going to put you on something. I think Hull FC fans are going to definitely mention you said that. So Hull KR are the more consistent, but Hull FC are above them in the table. How does that work?
I feel like the performance-wise, Hull KR have lost the games you expect them to lose, but have been close in losing those games.
Yeah.
So like they went to Warrington away, and they put a really, really good performance in, but not many teams are going to beat Warrington, especially at Warrington.
Yeah.
They played against Salford and put a really good performance in, but just missed out. Whereas Hull FC have lost games by a lot and won games by a bit. And I feel like that's the slight difference in the two teams. Hull FC are in a fantastic position for the situation they're in, but I don't think they're going to get enough bodies back to be able to become a consistent team in this game.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Hull KR are more likely to turn up on the day.
Yeah, just one thing as well. Lee Radford has come out and said recently, probably won't be the case for Hull Derby, but he says he prefers to play away from home than at home. There's a lot of pressure at home, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on them to win this game. So, I mean, obviously with it being a Hull Derby, that'll probably go out of the window. They'll be fully backing the team in this game. But yeah, they've struggled at home a bit of the black and white, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Okay, Sean, one that's close to your heart. Wigan versus St Helens.
Oh God. Well, firstly, what I'll say is I think that a lot of people have written this game off, which is a fair enough comment given the Wigan's current situation. I think it'll be a lot closer than people are anticipating. Wigan will turn up. There'll be 20,000+ on the game. It'll be loud. We've seen in previous years where one moment or one sequence of moments, whether it was the Tony Club sort of tackle sequence or whether it was the last minute try or Jamie Foster's kicking from the sideline, we've seen these key moments in Good Friday fixtures where it goes one way or the other, and the crowd being able to lift the team is vitally important, and I feel like Wigan will have that in bucket loads. Whether they've got the team to compete with St Helens is a different issue. It will come down for me whether the likes of Ben Flower, Sean O'Loughlin, Joe Greenwood are available. If Zach Airdake is able, obviously had family issues last week and couldn't play, and obviously that takes priority, but if he is available for the game, he'll make a massive difference in the defensive security for Wigan. St Helens obviously have the better team, But as we've seen on these Good Friday fixtures, it doesn't matter. Wigan went on a mad streak on Good Friday, and it started back in 2009 when St Helens were a much better team. And anybody can win in these derby games. It's obviously the big one for me. I think it's a big one for most people. I'm gonna say it's gonna be within one try. I think Saints will nick it, unfortunately.
Ooh. I think the start is vital for Wigan in this game. I think Saints are going to turn up. And even with a big crowd there, I feel like there's a bit of... I don't know what the feeling is at Wigan at the moment. I feel like there's a bit of pressure on Ian Lenigan. There's obviously pressure on Adrian Lam, and I think there's pressure on the players. And I think the start is vital for Wigan. The crowd are going to be up for it. If Wigan get a good start, I think, like you say, we'll be close. But I can also see Saints coming out of the box quick, and if they go 2 scores up, it could get ugly, I think. But saying that, it's a Good Friday derby. It's Wigan Saints. You'd expect it to be close, and I think I've got to agree with you on this one. I think probably Saints by a couple of scores.
Okay, Warrington versus Salford.
Well, yeah, it's Salford are obviously on a bit of a bad run at the moment. Warrington have come to Saints. We've all expected it to be close, and I won't say they bottled it, but they didn't really turn up in the biggest game of the season. They started okay, but Saints just overpowered them. And they will have been disappointed, Warrington, but they'll have more fire in the belly now. And home game against Salford, yeah, I think Warrington will probably pick up maximum points over this Easter period. They got all KR on Easter Monday, but yeah, the Salford game, I think Salford will probably, it won't be a blowout, but I could see Warrington winning it by probably 3 or 4 scores. Yeah, it's really difficult with Salford at the moment because I think at the start of the season their expectations were low, but the way they've started the season, their expectations have risen. And then as soon as those expectations have gone up, they've started to struggle. So it's a difficult one for Ian Watson. But yeah, it's a difficult place to go as Warrington. So I think that'll be a comfortable home win.
You agree?
I agree that Warrington will win. I do think Warrington will win the game. I think you've got to look at Salford's schedule. You've got to say they've got Warrington away and they've got Wigan at home. Wigan, obviously, they've already lost to Wigan at home. It's a tough couple of games for the Salford team, and if they come away with just 2 points, it's been a good Easter for them. I feel like it all depends, as it always does with Salford, whether the likes of Buck and Lussick can get the ball moving forward enough to get Jackson Hastings and Ronald Lee into the game.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have to be all the way downfield, but if they get it forward enough to get Hastings a chance, even from 40 out, it can create problems for Warrington. But they have to do that over 80 minutes. And that's where I think they'll fall short. I think Warrington have a little bit too much, both in defence and attack, for Salford to really trouble them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay, and finally on Friday's fixtures, Leeds versus Huddersfield. Sean, what are you gonna go for?
I'm going to upset Ben slightly. I think Huddersfield have got this.
Ooh.
I apologise, but yeah, I think Leeds are interesting, and we've had a lot of conversations about Leeds over the course of the season, being that one week they look like they're going to take on the world. Obviously they had the Castleford game, and you're thinking, you mentioned it last week, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be a massive kick-on period for Leeds now, and like, oh, you've got to go from win to win to win, and the next fixtures look good for Leeds. You've got Hull KR, and then you've got Huddersfield. These are games that you should be able to win, but then you go to Hull KR and you lose, and I don't know, I feel like there's a bit of air of uncertainty around Leeds at the minute. Mm-hmm. Huddersfield, on the other hand, have jumped into form, and they look really, really good at the minute. They're not just beating teams, they're playing teams at their own games and winning. I think Alex Mellor looks fantastic for Huddersfield. I think if he turns up against Leeds, he's going to have a great game, because I think he's probably the best back rower on the pitch in that fixture. So having said that, Leeds have got a strike. We know they've got a strike. If Sutcliffe turns up and has a good game, he can provide for the likes of Hurrell, who's been fantastic this season, and obviously can take down the defence on his own. I think the bigger problem that Hurrell's going to have this week, that it maybe not have every other week, is that he's going to be playing against Jermaine McGilvray's wing, and McGilvray, as we know, is a unit himself and will throw his body in the way of Hurrell. That's not me saying that I think they'll be able to stop him. I think Harrell will have a good game and he'll put Leeds in a position to win it. I just think Huddersfield will have slightly better game management and come away with a win.
Do you agree?
Well, I think it's going to be another close game, to be honest. We obviously said a lot about Leeds last week. Since then they played working in the Cup. Bit of a throw around of positions from Dave Furner. He's put Lola here at full-back. And then he's stuck with Sutcliffe and Myler in the half. Sutcliffe, I think this is his chance to step up. He's been thrown around in positions for years, and I think with Myler returning, I think him and Sutcliffe have more of a cohesive partnership than him and Lola here has proved against Hull KR, albeit only one match. But I think Dave Furner's really looking for that partnership to excel, but but against Huddersfield team who are on form, who beat Castleford last week and looked good for it. Obviously, you talked about Alex Mellor, he's in fantastic form, and I like Huddersfield's team. I think they're a good side. I think they're solid. I think they're. I don't know whether they're good enough for the top 5, but I don't know. I can't really see them struggling down at the bottom either, so I think they're going to be 6th, 7th, 8th, kind of those positions. But they're capable of turning over the big sides, and it's a much more important game for Leeds because they go to Wakefield on Monday, and that's a really tough game to go to Wakefield at the moment, as obviously Wigan proved. Wakefield's a really tough place to win, so Leeds need a win. Will they get it? I think they might just. I don't know whether that's heart over head, but I think they might just get over the line in this game. But I wouldn't say that with much confidence.
So we've heard their thoughts. Comment below and tell us what you think. Who is going to win in these fixtures this Easter weekend?
Watch every game of the NRL, plus the grand final and State of Origin from anywhere outside Australia, New Zealand or the Pacific Islands. Go to watchnrl.com and take the footy with you.